Alright guys, this video is titled The Real Reasons Women Choose Divorce. Let's check it out.
Over the last 25 years in the United States, the overall divorce rate has fallen. Meanwhile, the divorce rate for people over age 50 has doubled.
Wow. So for people over 50, there's twice as many divorces. I think I know why.
This is really an interesting statistic. Probably because fewer younger people are getting married, so maybe we're filtering the crazies out these days. But
either that or people are just like, yeah, let's just not get married, you know.
This group of over age 50 is a fascinating group, and these are the people that I talk to all the time. I talk to these guys just about every day. Recently, I had the privilege to talk to a man who's going through the toughest part of divorce. And in the midst of it, he discovered what can only be described as the golden ticket. He discovered that, I'll tell you later, but he found.
All right, we want to know what the golden ticket is now. Now I'm curious. We've got to find out.
The path forward that most of us could only dream of. So let's talk about gray divorces, and I'll finish up with his story because it's one of the most unique stories I've ever heard, and I think you guys will find it really entertaining. Let's talk about it.
We're listening, brother. We're listening.
If your doctor were to tell you that over the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to be afflicted with an illness, and this illness is going to compromise your ability to make decisions. It's going to cause you to experience insomnia, depression, anxiety. You're going to sob uncontrollably from time to time. You're going to have brain fog. You're going to become incontinent. Yes, you're going to wet your pants. You're going to make some really, really bad decisions during this time. Would you, knowing this information, go out into the world and make the most consequential decision of your life? Well, that's what women do when they're going through menopause. That's the great divorces. There was a British survey recently of women over age 50 who had recently gotten a divorce, and three quarters of them said that menopause played a significant role in their decision to make a divorce.
And I just want to interject here. So I think that's one of the problems with the no-fault divorce system, because people can make decisions that when they're in their, you know, what they would call not their right state of mind, and and this can happen to men too. It's not just women. You can be going through some kind of midlife crisis or what have you, right? And you make a decision and then you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that, you know. Personally, I think that the only time someone should get divorced is if there's been adultery or the spouse has died, the other spouse. Now, there are exceptions to that. You know, biblically, God allows for divorce under the two things I just mentioned: divorce and adultery. Death and adultery. I would say there's always going to be exceptions. For example, if someone is being abused, like severely, you know, physically abused or something like that, yeah, definitely. I don't think God would. I do not believe that God would want someone to stay in that situation.
Or to have a divorce. And a large percentage of them later went on to regret it. You know, I just don't understand what goes through a woman's mind at that stage in life where she thinks that now's the time to get back out there on the dating scene. She's 50 plus years old. Yeah, she's working it. She's working it. There are no men out there seeking you. Like maybe 70-year-old guys. I don't know. But really, this is not the time.
That's kind of a good joke, right? I mean, there's some truth in that jest, right? Because, they say people date, that men typically date, a little bit younger than them, and women date a little bit older than them. So, yeah, probably not the best time for a woman to get divorced when she's 50 or 50 something, right?
Time to do that. What makes
I knew somebody that did that. Beautiful, attractive woman, intelligent, fun to be around. She got divorced when I think she was about 50, and I think what had happened is because she had been married most of her life, she decided that, okay, now I'm divorced, so now I'm a free bird, and I'm gonna go just crazy. She went crazy in the sense that she was just having physical relations, if you know what I mean, having sex with everybody that she could get to come over to her house. I mean, it was bad. It was sad to see. Sad to see someone do that to their life, but. And she was a professional woman. She had a professional career.
makes you think this is a good idea? But they do. Menopause played a significant role in my ex-wife's decision to leave. Now, at the time, she said, "Oh, I don't seem to have any menopause, experiences." Well, I guess they come in phases. You get the hot flashes early on. The depression and the anxiety kind of hit you later. And then the uncontrollable sobbing and hopelessness hits you there at the end. You lose libido too. Well, that's another part of it, which obviously is great for marriage. But these women, man, they are making these
I assume that statement was sarcasm.
huge decisions at a time in their lives when they really should not be making a decision. There should be a law that prevents them from even entering into a legal contract, much less getting a divorce.
What if your smile could go from looking like this to this?
Nuvia's 24-hour
Holy
process
damn,
is
Jesus.
really
All
unique.
right, let's skip
But
over
they
that.
do it. Yeah, they do it.
Didn't expect that to pop up. There was an advertisement that popped up earlier, just on another video I was doing, and it was something about, oh, yeah, your constipation and your poop is stuck, and I was like, whoa, hey, whoa, right?
There are three primary factors that contribute to gray divorce. And all of them obviously are on the women's side. So first one we already talked about, that was menopause, which I think is a state of temporary insanity. And there should be a law against any woman making any kind of big decision in her life while she's going through menopause, because it's very likely she is in an emotional state that would make her legally insane. Number two is women have this ability to remember stuff. And they also hold a grudge. I don't know why this is so
I think I accidentally bumped the speed on that one. Hold on.
common.
Fixed it.
Maybe it's common in men too. I personally, I forgive and forget. I just move on. I don't have time or energy in my skull to be holding memories of some bullshit that happened way back when. But it does seem that women have this ability, and it's a rare gift that they have, because they can remember shit that happened like 20, 25, 30 years ago to the detail. Like, they'll remember the date, they'll remember what you were wearing, they'll remember.
Yeah, they'll be like, do you remember on March 2nd, 2006 at 8:13 a.m., you farted on my pillow?
What they said, what you said, and you just like, what the hell are you even talking about? And they're acting like it happened yesterday. Well, if you've been married for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years, God forbid, there's a long list of memories that she's
Maybe that's how you get pink eye.
got. And she's still pissed off about all of them. She's still pissed off about all of them. So when she's going through menopause and she's in this temporary state of insanity, she is thinking about all those things. She's thinking about, why is she so unhappy? Like, it couldn't possibly be the menopause that's making her unhappy. The hormonal differences, the way estrogen makes you more nurturing and kind and compassionate,
Never.
and that estrogen is just taking a crash dive, and suddenly you're finding yourself in a place where you think everyone in the world sucks. And you, as her husband, are the primary guy who sucks. You're the one who sucks the most. So, with that in mind, she's gonna list off all those things in her head, and she's gonna rationalize that the reason why she's feeling so badly and why the life.
Man, guys, that is a really cool creek right there. Check that out. I would love to just hike down that creek. I used to do that in Virginia, this creek through the woods, and it was like about that size. It was about that width, and there was parts that were deep, and they'd go around a corner, and there'd be like, surprisingly enough, there'd be like fish, you know, I can't quite fit it on camera, but long fish, like way bigger than you'd think you'd find in a creek. It was kind of cool. And you could just kind of wade through it. It was a thick forest, so it was easier to walk through the creek.
Is so unbearable to her at this moment is because of you. Yeah, you're the guy that's responsible for this whole mess.
Wow, that's a nice shot right there. That was cool. Look at that.
And then finally, the third thing that she's going to hit you with is
There we go. Here's the third thing.
cash and prizes. Yeah, so we all understand the way divorce works. So in her head, again, temporary insanity, long list of grievances against you, holding a grudge on all these things, feeling really like life sucks completely. So it's natural for a human being under these conditions to think, you know, there has got to be a better way. And her better way is going to involve leaving you and taking as much of your money as she can so that she can fix her life and get her life back on track. Because obviously you are the cause of all these problems. There's no question.
And a lot of guys, I've heard a lot of guys talk about that they feel like they were taken to court because, you know, they were put through the divorce process, right? Because the woman wanted to cash in prizes, basically wanted the assets, the children, you know, and all that, and the child support, alimony, and just did not want the responsibility of being a wife anymore, you know. Of course, there's, you know, every situation is different, you know, if you hear both sides of the story. As a lot of people say, you know, there's one person's side of the story, the other person's, and then there's the truth in the middle, right? So to speak. But I've heard a lot of men say that they feel like the only reason the divorce happened was because the women have been incentivized to go get their cash and prizes. I don't know, guys.
In her mind that that's the case. And if she can just financially pull it off, well, she can fix all her issues. That's what she's thinking. So that's why we're headed to court. And that's why
Makes sense.
she's
Right.
coming for as much money as she can get. It has nothing to do with you specifically, except that you were the cause of all of her pain. And now she's got this grudge that she wants to enforce on you, and that she's going to make you pay for how badly she feels, mostly because of the menopause.
Now I can fall asleep. It sounds like
Anyway.
water in the background.
So recently I had this opportunity to talk to a guy who's in the middle of it. He is going through the crucible. He is in the fire right now.
Oh, here we go.
She's left him.
We're gonna find
She's
out the secret.
moved in with her. They've got an apartment or something like that.
The golden nugget.
She's poisoned the kids against her, so he's definitely feeling the pain of that. He's tried to negotiate with her, and she's been real unpleasant with him. He's tried to tell her that he still loves her, and she acts like that's not a big deal. She's not really concerned about that. So he then offered her half the equity in the house, and she laughed at him and said, "Nah, you think that's all I'm worth? You think that's all I'm gonna get?" So he's got it in his head that she's coming hard, and they've got a meeting with a.
Let me guess. You're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist
no.
myself, of course course I'm going to say that's a great
Everybody's a
idea.
therapist
But
now.
first,
Okay.
let's talk about the things they don't tell you.
Oh,
First
here
of
we
all,
go.
you're going to say, I'm fine, like 300 times.
Have you got? It seems like everybody's a therapist now. I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, back to the regularly scheduled program.
A divorce mediator in the near future. Anyway, he's going through his memories of their relationship and when they first met. And this thought popped into his head that he had forgotten about. In the early 90s, they've been married for over 30 years, so in the early 90s, she told him that she had done something that she regretted. She had agreed to marry a guy in order to help him get his U.S. citizenship.
Ruh-roh. That's not good.
And he never really gave it any more thought after that. A few years later, he and her got married, and they started their journey together. You know, starting having kids, buying houses, doing all the stuff. Well, now, he started doing a little bit of detective work and discovered that she never divorced that guy until like 2005. And he's been married to her, or he had been married to her for 10 years at that point. So he took this information to his lawyer, and his lawyer informed him, technically you've never been married. So now you can see how he has this golden ticket. Now you can see that he,
Okay. Didn't see that one coming.
unbeknownst
All
to
right.
her, probably, at least she doesn't know he knows. She might be
All right.
aware of it. Maybe that's why she went to a mediator instead of to a lawyer. But unbeknownst to her, he knows the truth that she was married to someone else when they got married, which of course
Okay.
is bigamy. Not that anyone's going to prosecute her for that, but that's certainly an issue. And then secondly, she had committed fraud, like to the U.S. government. And of course, you know, this whole immigration thing is a hot issue these days. It wasn't back in the 90s, but now, man, it's hot stuff. So the last thing you want is for that information to come to light. Anyway, so he and I had a conversation about how he should approach this issue. And I told him that if she tries to reconcile with him after she learns that he has this golden ticket, that he would have to assume that she's not trustworthy. So the only way to move forward is for him to try to reconcile with her, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to reconcile and to do his best to do that and offer her, you know, some kind of concessions, you know, to live in separate houses and date for a while and see how that goes, to see if they can rekindle their relationship. Obviously, he's going to have to tell her at some point in the...
Now, my opinion on that is a friend of mine is a counselor. He's been a counselor. I know a couple guys that are counselors and a whole handful of women that are counselors. That's why I kind of joked, it seems like everybody's a counselor nowadays. Some obviously much better than others. One of the guys I know that's a counselor, he said, look, all this stuff with people, you know, trying to dance around, you know, oh, well, let's, you know, like they're talking about, let's just see if we can work it out and live in separate houses and stuff. He said, no. He said, if either you're married or you're getting a divorce, one of the two. He said that kind of strategy rarely ever works, and it usually just delays the inevitable, so.
the near future about this situation, because technically they've been filing their taxes incorrectly for the last 20 years, you know, because she was technically married to somebody else.
I didn't think about
so
that.
their marriage was not valid. And so since 2005, when she got her divorce, they have been filing as married when technically they were both single.
True,
Now,
true.
this all gets super complicated, and I very seriously doubt that the federal government would be interested in this sort of thing, but it certainly
Probably
is
not.
very interesting from a
Probably
relationship
sure.
perspective, because now he has this upper hand that she doesn't know about. And up until now, she's been acting like she's had the upper hand the whole time. I mean, she's been playing him, you know, hardcore. Like, I've got you by the short ones, I know it, and I'm going to take your money and I'm going to restart my life and things are going to be just fine without you. I just thought I would share that one with you guys.
You know,
I find it
it's interesting how when people get into a divorce situation like that, it often becomes all about the money and the assets, right? And I've heard a lot of people say that it seems to be the women that go for the, you know, I'm going to get the house, I'm going to get the cars, the kids, that, you know. Um, I can see where, you know, maybe it would have been necessary for women to do that a long time ago when women were usually housewives, they were usually domestic. But now, in most cases, you know, women have their own careers and everything. So I think that nowadays it would be a lot more fair to just split things 50-50, you know. And if you have kids, you know, you write a parenting plan and you do, you know, 50-50 as best as you can. And in that type of situation, I can tell you it is vitally important. It is imperative, if you have even just one kid involved, to encourage, for both parents to encourage a healthy relationship with the other parent. So hold on one second, guys. I got a call. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back.
very, very interesting and very funny how the tables turned so quickly in that situation. So gray divorces have doubled over the last 25 years. And I'm beginning to think that the younger generation, it's not that they are doing such a great job of getting married and picking partners. They just haven't had time to build up that list of things that she's going to hate you for yet. That's really what it is. It's not that she is a better woman than the women that we were picking back in the day. No, it's just that not enough time has passed for the resentments to build and for that list to come into play. Because you've still got menopause on the horizon. You guys haven't gotten there yet. I guess the millennials might be just creeping into it just a tiny bit. But yeah, most of you guys are you're still living in the youthful throes of romance and love and all that gushy stuff. Yeah, wait till menopause hits.
And the young generation, honestly, guys, the young generation doesn't really have. If you look at the way society is now, the young generation really doesn't. They don't have an incentive to get married. I mean, what incentive do they have to get married, right? With everything going on in the world and in the society, I mean, when you start looking at everything, you look at, you know, what happens in family court and what's going on in our economy. I mean, one of the latest stats I saw was that as of today, and I'm sure this will increase as inflation / cost of living increases and everything, right? That to raise a child, how they figured it was from birth or age 0 to 17 years old. I don't know why they didn't go to 18, but from 0 to 17, it was almost $300,000. I think it was like 289,000 or somewhere in there, something like that. You can look it up. Just Google, you know, search terms, cost of raising a child from, you know, birth to 18 or 17 or whatever. But basically, it's fair to say that it's about $300,000 to raise a child as it stands now. So what's it going to be in a year or a couple years, 3 years, and so on, right? So people are being priced out of being able to have a child. They're being priced out of even being able to have a spouse or a house. Look up the stats on millennials and Gen Zs. I think it's less than half of millennials. I think it's only like 40% of millennials own a home, 41% of them. And then of course for Gen Z, it's a lot less. And then the generation up and coming after them, it's probably going to be almost zero, right? Sad situation, but let's wrap this one up. We're almost done.
Suddenly, it's like you're living with the most ornery guy you've ever known. This guy gets up every morning and he's pissed right from the very beginning. Yeah, and you think, oh my God, I thought I married this sweet, lovely, beautiful girl. No, but now at age 50, she's this fat, stinky, underslept, cranky, depressed, anxious man. She's growing hair in places I didn't even know she could grow hair. Yeah, it gets ugly. It gets ugly.
Oh, jeez. I didn't see
This is
that
what
one
you have
coming.
in front of you. All right, you guys, that's all I got for you today. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. And until next time, stay healthy, and if you can, be the better man.
All right, guys, that was a cool video. You know, it was informative, thought provoking. I think I remember a video from him a while back where I think he's divorced himself, but so he's been through the ringer. He's had some experience, but he does pretty good videos. He's got a good channel. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, a lot of people going through divorces and stuff will enjoy his content, or even people just having relationship problems. But yeah, times are definitely challenging for many different reasons right now, right? Like I mentioned, earlier, you've got the economy, you've got things like family court, you've got the culture, this great divide between men and women, this war between men and women that goes on in our culture. So there's a lot going against someone, whether you're a man or a woman, if you want to try to build a relationship with somebody and potentially, especially if you want to potentially have a family. So, but anyway, I'm going to leave the link down below so you guys can check it out. I don't know if my hand was on camera, but it'll be down below. You can go check out his videos. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I like looking at this kind of stuff. It's just thought provoking. And my channel is just going to be kind of for right now, I think my channel is just going to be kind of a mix of stuff. So I kind of enjoy just, I see stuff online and it inspires something in me to respond. I'm having thoughts while I'm watching it, and it could be on anything, all kinds of different stuff. It could be on this kind of stuff. It could be positive stories about things. It could be political stuff, news, whatever, right? Sasquatch, paranormal, like you name it, right? So hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. All right, guys, have a good weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend, so enjoy your weekend. Have a nice cookout. Have some barbecue ribs for me. Have some fried chicken. Have a good juicy steak. And have something good to drink. We'll see you soon.